Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you a quick question about your early application-specific integrated circuit.
That's a strange one.
Your ASIC Chips.
When I started DOD, in '74, we weren't really aware of CIPS, single integrated circuits, or DIPs, double integrated circuits. We were using transistors to build our first phase shifter, so we were aware of, chips that would do what we wanted to do. So, and then we built our first distortion box. We were using LF351s, which we used for distortion purposes. Couldn't build a course or a flanger, without, transistors in the early days. But we could build our first distortion box with first we used SIPs, then we used JIPs. So this 74, 75, 76, 77. So, and we used all those products later on. We used dips for courses and for flangers and distortions. Depends on what it needed to be. Later on, is trying to build a reverb. You can't build a reverb with a SIP or a dip, just through too much processing power. And there were off-the-shelf chips available that could do that, but they were, one, they're very expensive, and two, they required so much software to actually, design, around to make it work. You took a lot of, software engineers. So we decided that if we could build our own chip, and we built our first chip in 1984, long before, I don't think anybody in the music industry did that. We hired a couple of engineers from the University of Utah who were studying chip design and microcontrollers, etc. And we hired those guys, and they built our first HIST chip. Happening instructor, collector, I can't remember what it was. And it was called a happening instructor set.
Okay.
Yeah, and we called it the HIST chip. Later on, we did the S-DISC, super happening, whatever.
How long did
we
it
built
take?
Our own. Yeah, we did the first one, it took about a year and a half, which allowed us to build, the first, reverb in the pedal, never been done before. And then we built the GSD 128, which was a, $399 digital reverb processor. Lexicon was selling theirs for $900, and we brought one out for essentially $400, more than half the price.
Yes.
And at our first trade show, we had, the company at that point in time was doing about, $9 or $10 million, and at the trade show we sold $20 million worth of the GSD 128, although we couldn't deliver it. We had not the capacity. We sold, close to 100,000 units at a trade show, which is kind of like unheard of.
Yes, that's pretty sizable, John.
It was crazy, And the thing is, we couldn't even buy memory. All of a sudden, when we did that, all of a sudden memory spiked, because of scarcity, but because of us too.
Yeah, true enough.
We required so much memory. We couldn't buy enough memory, to use with our chips, to build the product. So we had to have a memory add-on. So actually, depending on when you ordered the product, you got a memory add. This is something I don't think it's been done, before. Or I don't think it's been done since. But we had a memory add-on Where if you bought the product, you know, it was just whatever today's price was for the memory, that's what you paid for it, you know. So,
Yes.
you know, the products were $3.99, but sometimes the products actually had a retail price of $5.49. But there was so much demand for them that it didn't really matter.
Wow.
But we couldn't buy enough. We couldn't buy enough memory. Actually, my wife, that I'm married to now, was the chief buyer back, 20 years ago.
Wow. Well,
22 years.
Hopefully things have changed a little bit since then. I'm sure they have.
Oh yeah, no, totally different world. You know, it's all.
What other names were coming up? I was seeing in my research. Have you ever heard of someone named Keith Barr, John?
I know Keith Barr is passed away.
Yes.
Smart guy.
I was reading about.
He built the O1A, the first cheap digital reverb. Actually, he was the guy that actually got us going on that, because a friend of mine, Rob Wilson, from England, knew Keith Barr very well. And we had Rob Wilson contact Keith Barr to see if he would build us design us a reverb chip. And he said he would, but it would be, $250,000.
Yes, something comparable. Yeah.
Little did I know, that was actually a good price.
Yeah, true enough. In the grand scheme of it. No, I came across a book that he had written. It was in 2007. It was ASIC design and the silicone sandbox. So I didn't know if you had known him or anything like that. I just thought I would ask.
So what was written about that? What was in that?
Basically, it's him going through chip design. So this is from the ground up, where you're basically starting from almost doing a miniature electrical diagram to where everything's heading and what's doing what, right? So he walks people through it. He was a very
smart, he was a very smart guy. We contacted him through my friend in England, who was a distributor of his MXR products. Keith Barr was the founder of MXR.
Nice. But yes, I did read that he had passed away a few years ago, so that's unfortunate, but I thought I would ask and see if you'd known him at all.
Oh yeah. We had a few phone conversations, and he said he'd do it for $250,000. He could do it within 6 months. And my partner, David DeFrancisco at the time, and I decided, hell, for $250,000, we could hire four fucking engineers. Why don't we just do that? So we just hired two.
Yep.
And they were, during that time frame, were actually able to produce the chip.
Wow.
And we also found out that when they produced the chip, my whole thing was, well, can you do, reverb? And they go, yeah. I said, well, how much code does that take? Well, it takes this much to make it happen. I said, well, what did you do? Did you make a chorus? Yeah, of course we make a chorus. Can you make a flanger? Of course we can make a flanger. And then later on, I asked them, can you do distortion? And they go, we don't know, we'll try. So we had the DSP 128, then we had the GSP 5, which is 5 effects at a time. Didn't realize that, distortion didn't work that well, but...
well, I guess it was part of the research process, eh?
It was, yeah. I mean, see, here's how a company operates. If you're good, if you know what you're doing, it starts with research and development. So you research and develop a product, and then there's production of the product. So the R&D team develops the product, and then the development team takes the R&D and turns it into a product. And then there's a spin process, which is the third element in manufacturing or engineering, where you take a subset of engineers to figure out, as marketing says, is the market said, hey, it would be great if you could do this. So you take what you have and what was R&D, which is developed, and what is now in the marketplace, you end up with someone who's saying, well, why can't that do this?
Yes.
And then you talk to guys and say, okay. And so you have the third level of engineering, not the R&D guys and not the development to market guys, but the guys who do the spin. And they're the guys who say, yeah, we could probably do that. And then you task them to do that. And so most products go through a series of spins. Doesn't matter what it is. Automobiles are, proof and analysis. They're continually spin,
yes.
Product. Computers, today are, a spin product. Robotics, will become, spin products, but they're not yet. They're still in R&D, if you will. And there are some developmental products that exist to do certain things, just like, cars that drive themselves,
It's coming soon, John.
Yeah, I just don't want to be on the road with a truck, losing the satellite when I'm parked at a stoplight, I have a, double-decker truck rolling down on top of me. So
Uber did one up here, John. They did the first self-driving truck that took a load of beer across the big highway here in Ontario. So it's coming soon, John. Apparently it made it with no problems, but...
I love your Canadian accent. You're talking about beer. When you said that, was it Okanagan or what was it?
Yeah, that's out in BC for sure, yes.
Yeah, I love you guys' beer. That's always